I see a picture.
All right,
Yep.
we're here. Okay, we're all here.
Yep, I think so. Okay.
All right, welcome everybody to tonight's Finance Committee meeting on April 13th, 2022. As usual, we'd like to start with a report from our comptroller.
Thank you, Randy. Passed out a copy of the update to everyone. Thanks for having me. I've given you, this is the first update this year that we're able to give you 2022 numbers. So what I provided is an update through February's numbers. There's not a lot of data here yet. We'll continue to update on 2021. We're closing that year out this month. 2022, we're seeing some, as you see in your personal lives, we're experiencing some inflationary pressures here at the city in terms of our expenses. I thought it might be helpful I provided a report from the Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is a report that just came out yesterday, and it highlights some of the inflation that we're seeing, and it breaks down by category. On a year-to-date basis, or not on a year-to-date, on a 12-month basis, for the period ended March 31st, we're experiencing an 8.5% increase in prices across the board. And that's before seasonal adjustment. I saw an article that was put out that said that that's the largest increase in the last 40 years. To give you some background.
4 years or 40?
40 years.
I'm not 40. So.
Some of the increases by category, gasoline in this last 12 months is up 48%. Natural gas is 21.6%. Fuel oil 70%. Electricity 11%. Vehicle costs 12.5%. Other commodities up 12 or 11.7%. So I think we'll end up touching on some of these as you'll see some departmental requests later on in the meeting, but we are seeing a lot of pressure with prices across the board with our inputs, with material supplies, capital, utilities, vehicle fuel. Vehicle fuel is a big one. On this report, I've showed you that we've spent 21% of our vehicle fuel budget through February alone. So, we're only 2 months in. We've already spent over 20% of our fuel budget. Equipment rental. Let me take a step back. On top of this, we also had the ice storm back in February. So as part of that ice storm, we incurred a lot of overtime, a lot of equipment costs. We will be putting together a transfer for the council to consider to replenish some of the departmental budgets, but that has put a lot of pressure on the department budgets. Overtime, we're at 25% spent through February already. So that is primarily due to the ice storm. Equipment rental, different departments need to rent equipment. We're at over 33% of our third spent through February. And that's a third of the budget depleted through February. So on the expense side, like I said, we're seeing a lot of pressure. There is a sunny side to this whole thing, and the sales tax receipts have been very strong. On a year-to-date basis, we are over 25% over the prior year. So, to give you an idea, we're at the second page of this report I handed out. This is our sales tax report. So year-to-date basis, we're at 26.7% over the prior year. We finished last year very strong, as I reported throughout the year, towards the end of the year. We finished at 17.8 million in sales tax collections last year. This year, we've budgeted 16,250,000, and we're obviously on pace to well exceed that number. So I'll continue to report on the sales tax. So what I would anticipate, at least on the revenue side, will offset some of the additional expenses that we're seeing. So they'll try to keep that in mind as we're discussing finances throughout the year. Or you'll have some requests from departments to replenish budgets that on the other side of this, we are seeing additional revenues coming in. So that's the main update. Like I said, we'll have a communication relatively soon on the ice storm expenses, try to replenish some of the overtime that got stressed out earlier this year and some of the other accounts. But like I said, you'll see later tonight some requests regarding some additional budgetary needs.
And so,
Some of this inflation.
for the ice storm, we haven't gotten any, like federal emergency funds for that or state funds?
My understanding is the mayor had reached out and there was no funding available for the city to offset those costs.
I have a question, because I don't understand on the county level and now here too. Why is sales tax bringing in so much money when it seems like business is not up? It seems like it's been down during COVID. How does that compute?
Well, the sales are actually, they have been strong. There's a couple of things. I mean, one is the inflation. So the prices are up. I mean, if you look at the categories of commodities and products that generate the most sales tax, it's vehicle sales. We all know vehicle prices have shot through the roof. It's restaurants, that have done well, depending, right? There's some vehicle fuel is another category that, once again, it's not just the quantity, it's the dollar amount. So, when fuel prices go up, there's more sales tax coming in, even if there's no more.
So we need more gas
Fuel
stations
purchase.
in Kingston.
Well, and let me hit on that. So the way the city's sales tax how we receive our monies is, it's not just sales tax generated in the city of Kingston. We get 11.5% of the amount collected in the entire county of Ulster.
Oh.
So, we benefit from sales in the town of Ulster, we benefit from sales in other jurisdictions, as well as they benefit from sales in the city of Kingston because they get a piece as well. So we get 11.5% of the total. Another part of this is that as part of the pandemic, you saw a large increase in online shopping. And, we pick up sales tax on that as well. So that spiked up tremendously, over 100% at one point. So I don't know what that current number is, but, at one point last year, I think it was up over 100% from prior to the pandemic, so.
Thanks, that's helpful.
So anytime you have questions, always feel free to reach out, to me, call, email, these numbers.
All right. Great, thank you for that. With everyone's forbearance, we have two guests from CSEA, and one is from CSEA and the other is our labor lawyer. And so I would like to move item 11 to the first spot here, so that especially if we can go into executive session, we can do so. So the first question here is item 11. Is the memorandum of agreement between the city of Kingston and CSCA local regarding collective bargaining, particular individual. So where's our, do we have a committee report for that?
We do.
Oh,
So,
not in here.
yeah, this is one.
Oh, great, okay. All right, good. So this is the one, the letter from John Toohey, the communication, please see attached memorandum of agreement between the City of Kingston and CSCA unit number 8951 for the Common Council's consideration. The MOA pertains to the placement of the Environmental Education and Sustainability Coordinator position on the new CSCA salary and grade schedule and would require the attached budgetary transfer similar to the one that was passed earlier this year for all other CSEA positions. And so the committee report reads, approve the attached memorandum of agreement between the City of Kingston and CSEA Unit Number 8951 to add the Environmental Education and Sustainability Coordinator position to the new CSEA salary and grade schedule effective and retroactive to January 1, 2022. Additionally, approve the attached 2022 budgetary transfer totaling $5,667 necessary to fund the memorandum of agreement for the remainder of the year. Does anybody have any questions about this? Or if you're ready to vote, we can do that without going into executive session to discuss the position.
I'm ready to vote.
Yeah, it was, looking for what you were just reading, but it's following.
It's page 28. The committee report is not in the document that we received, but the letter that I read is at page 28 of our packet.
Okay.
In that case, I need a motion and someone to consider this. For some reason, I can't figure out my pen. No. John, thank you very much. Glad one of us is prepared. Are you ready to second, Barbara?
Oh, yeah, second. Are you ready to write it down?
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. In that case, let me see. Is there any discussion? No. Great. So then I'll call for the vote. Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? All right. Because neither of you are listed on here, I crossed out the names where you'll need to add your own to vote. All right. Let me check my name. Good. So, Bill and Howard, if you're present, sorry, we didn't have any questions. We got it figured out. We appreciate you taking the time to be present in case we needed you. But hope this means you can go enjoy some sunshine.
Can't hear you.
I can't hear Bill.
You're muted.
I definitely appreciate you moving us up. This is Howard. I definitely appreciate you moving us up in the agenda. And I'm going to go finish my vacation now. So have a great night, everybody.
Do it twice for us, Howard.
They have.
Yeah, thank you, everyone, and wishing you all a happy holiday weekend, Easter Passover, and thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay, signing off. Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
So we will then rejoin our regularly scheduled agenda. We'll go first to the planning department. Sue, do you know anybody in the planning department? Okay. It's a brief description, if you would.
It's a budgetary transfer for overtime in the planning department. It's been departmental, no request for money out of the general fund. We are down an employee, so we have been, I want to draw the funds out of that part-time employee salary and put it into the overtime. We've already into the year done 4 special planning board meetings. We have a couple more in the immediate future that I'm looking at. So activity is very strong in the planning department between landmarks and heritage and planning. There's a lot of development proposals coming forth.
Great.
Yeah, busy. It's busy.
We're glad to hear that.
And big proposals, you know, I mean, the Kingstonian will be back in front of us. Obviously, you all know Golden Hills in front of us right now. We just finished a project on Lucas Avenue. There's a few more down in the Rondout that are coming to us. And we've got another one potential in Long Park. So, and we do have the senior complex behind the Best Western that is looking to come back as well. So, there's a lot of housing projects.
Oh, we're good. We're glad to hear that for sure. All right. Any questions for Sue? Then motion to discuss?
Oh, no motion, sorry. No motion.
Oh, I have one question.
Oh, question.
Short term, rezoning effort. In the future, that's gonna have a lot of impact on planning as well as zoning, or?
Yes, yeah, it'll basically replace the existing zoning code to a form-based code. It'll have an impact on our department, obviously an impact on building safety and the zoning department as well.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
hopefully for the good.
You'll be retired, but no, I'm just kidding.
No, not by then, but.
I know, well, hang in there.
All right, so the committee report reads description, authorize the following fiscal year 2022 budget modification to cover overtime expenses within the planning department. Increase budget line, planning overtime pay by $6,000, decrease budget line, planning part-time employees by $6,000. The estimated financial impact is 0. Do we have a motion to discuss?
This
One of you.
motion to discuss is, no, I don't need.
Well, we can't even vote on it if people.
Right, okay, motion to
Oh,
discuss.
actually.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Okay, sure, I'll second.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
No, that's what.
Okay.
See where
All right.
you tell her now.
If there's no discussion, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Say aye. Yell it out loud and proud. Great, thank you. Thank you, Sue.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice holiday, everybody.
You too.
Are we next week, Tuesday? We have meeting for the street fair.
I wrote your name in already.
I will send you a
Okay.
meeting invite. I had sent it in a memo, asking people if that date was good.
All right, the next item of business is from the police department.
Or can you send me another?
Chief Kenty, are you with us?
Okay, good.
Chief Kenty.
Yes, good afternoon.
Hey there.
My
All right.
apologies. I'm back in the laundry room today.
All right, keep it clean. This is a request to hire a full-time clerk to assist in meeting New York State discovery law reporting requirements. The fiscal impact for this year would be $32,295, which covers 8 months of funding for this year, and then the full-time salary for future years would be $45,000. Can you tell us what this is about, Chief?
Yeah, it kind of speaks for itself. The discovery part of the new law, the requirements that we have, we just cannot meet with the current staffing that we have. We had recently a part-time clerk, Isabel Dyers. She was an incredible employee. She was and is missed. She was part-time. We cannot find anyone to fill a part-time position down there. And frankly, the amount of work that's piling up, I believe IT is backlogged right now. It's just their discovery component, which is the body cams and radio transmissions and so on. This clerk would have the majority of their duties assigned to just serving the district attorney's office and providing any discovery material to them. That's the bulk of the requests. Ideally, we would be able to also offset any time the other two full-time clerks that we have are off, so they can so that this particular clerk can backfill that with the foils and so on. But we're looking to set up a clerical unit right now, and we are looking possibly at or hopefully at one full-time, and possibly next year asking for a part-time in addition. It is just a tremendous amount of work. We just can't keep up.
Right, and so part of this new bail reform law, it's requiring much quicker passing along of information, right? That's the basic issue.
That is correct. It's a 15-day. There is some leniency depending on the court case, but with the amount of the volume of information we have to deliver to the DA's office and ultimately to the defense attorneys is unbelievable anymore. It really is. I mean, you talk about a particular scene of a domestic, you've got 3 body cam videos at least, plus all the paperwork.
All right. Any questions for Chief Tinty on this issue? All right, the committee report reads, the police department is requesting a transfer of funds in the city's contingency fund to our regular pay and social security accounts to hire a full-time clerk to address the New York State discovery law reporting requirements. The estimated financial impact in this year's budget is $32,295. Do you have a motion to discuss?
Motion.
Mohammed, in a second. Y'all are busy today.
We're switching it up.
All right, any discussion?
No.
Hearing no discussion, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes unanimously. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you very much.
There's a seal load that needs to be done back there, so. You got time now.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it in there once I hang up.
right.
Thank you.
Start. Here we go. Next item here is Department of Public Works. This is about using some insurance money to replace some damaged equipment. You want to talk about that?
Sure. So basically, this is internal transfer, zero financial impact. It was insurance money removed from the damaged lighting pole. So we're just transferring that back into our account.
Mhm.
And we also, during the ice storm, lost a salter, and we had to replace that very short term. So also, the full amount of this includes the salter in that zero impact transfer.
Great. Any questions for Superintendent Norman? Nope. Then do I have a motion to discuss?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Wonderful, thank you. Passes unanimously. Oops, I forgot to put the other people's names. Do you have anything else on the agenda?
I'm just sticking around for John and
Okay.
possibly.
Great, all right, we'll try to zoom through these here. Let's see, so the next item here is the Court Avenue sewer. You want to tell us what that's about, John?
Yes, so obviously, between our office and DPW, we have awareness of city streets that have repeat high maintenance areas, pavement collapses and things like that. Ford Avenue is on that list. This is relatively straightforward as sewer projects go, in that the sanitary sewer is relatively shallow. And this is a project that I think the mayor identified could be constructed in short order. You know, as our sewer project goes, relatively small, but it is the full length of Ford Avenue. It would be a complete sewer replacement. We've had a sewer camera in this line to determine the condition, and the condition is poor. So it's a project that's recommended to complete this year.
Okay, great, and so there would be there's no like state money or anything to offset this one. This is totally coming out of bonding.
Yeah, that was the mayor's recommendation. For this.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, any questions for John Schulteis on this issue?
No questions.
No questions? All right, then,
Just relieved that it's gonna happen.
motion to discuss?
Oh.
Sponsored by Mayor. Second? Yes. Any discussion? No, okay, in that case, then I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
You have to go this gallery street?
I couldn't figure out how to do it. How do you do that? Oh, you push a button? Two, okay, all right. Oh, I thought that just controlled the camera that was viewing us. Okay, Barbara. Thank you. Let's see. We've got the Henry Street sewer that's at the end there. You want to go ahead and talk
I
about
can.
that?
I can,
Is
yeah.
that
In
okay
fact,
with
there's,
everybody? If we skip to that, thank you.
I'd be happy to skip to that.
Okay,
So Henry Street Sewer is a project that was under design for prior to 2022. We bid the work and started the construction in January of this year. The sewer line has since been replaced, but unfortunately during this project there were some unforeseen conditions encountered. And so we do have costs above originally anticipated here. Some of that work included replacing additional lead water service lines that were encountered. Obviously, prior to construction, there's an estimate made of how many of those there are. And in addition, there's a deep sanitary sewer at this location that we thought we could repair from inside the manhole and more simply, but in the end, it required a deep excavation. So the request tonight is for an additional $160,000 to cover those unforeseen costs for that project.
so this is just adding more money into an previously executed bond.
Correct.
Okay, and we've heard from John too about how there's been a roughly 89% increase in costs across the board, so stands to reason. Any questions for John on this issue?
No.
Hearing no questions, then I'll take a motion to discuss.
Motion.
Second. Any discussion?
No discussion.
Hearing no discussion, I'll call for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, John. Is that all?
There's the Gallo Park
Oh,
matter that the mayor brought out. I could speak a little bit.
that's the next on the agenda
Well,
anyway,
yeah,
so we'll go to that one then. Back to, this is about repairing the electrical system for docks at Gallo Park.
Yes.
Mhm.
So the electrical system was damaged in 2012 with Superstorm Sandy. There is a FEMA grant fund under that is out there. We have begun a design process. Actually, we're pretty advanced in the design process. We'd be nearly ready to bid this work. One of the complications that has arisen is that as you may know, if you've used the marina, there are electrical services provided to boaters there. Between 2012 and now, there was a major update to the electrical code, which we found, the original thinking after the disaster is, okay, just put it back exactly the way it was prior to the disaster. Well, some of these larger projects, you can't do that because you'd be violating the electrical code. And that's what we found in this case. So the docks themselves, in addition to being deteriorated, are not able to support in their current configuration a new electrical installation that complies with the current electrical code. So I think the reason for the mayor's communication was to add, it was originally not conceived to replace all the docks as part of this project. However, it's now been determined to be needed under the new electrical code to replace those docks. In addition, they were not overall in great condition to begin with. A lot of them, having walked on them myself, I can tell you it's they have problems. So similar to the kayak dock that's being done, we would look to do modern docks with compliant electrical installation. So I think the communication you have, was it updated?
Yeah, so there was a typo on the letter. The $1.2 million bond is still that's the net, but what we're asking for is the total of 1.7 that's expected, John, to, the FEMA reimbursement will be approximately $625,000. So the net to the city is less than the 1.7, that's closer to 1.2, but we're crossing the bond for full now. The amount that would eventually would bond for would be net of any grant reimbursement.
Okay, and we're doing okay in terms of what we're borrowing lately,
We are.
even with the changes in the economy and the inflation and all that?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we're gonna be going out to bond, this summer. We'll be rolling short-term into long-term. The rates have picked up a bit, but the long-term rates are a lot more stable than short-term rates. But our short-term rates are still outstanding right now.
Great. And so, John, basically, if this work is not done, we're gonna lose the docks. They're gonna fall into the water.
Well, they can't complete, there's, I guess, two components of the electrical work. There's the work on the land, everything that was inundated, and as part of this work, we're going to elevate the flood-prone components so that when the next flood occurs, we're not in this situation again. That's one of the requirements under FEMA is to elevate things like transformers and switchboards, panels. The breaker boxes are going to be higher out of the floodplain. So that's the work on the land side. On the water side is all the cabling and risers, to provide power to the boaters. Really one, there's not a point to doing one or the other. It's really both.
Right, and I can vouch for the condition of the existing docks are in disrepair. Our city partner has spent many months throughout the last several winters just basically putting them back together to be able to utilize the following spring. But again, they're made of wood and the float material in it itself is failing. And it's just a matter of time. It should be, my personal opinion, it should be upgraded to actually help with this FEMA project and also as to encourage more people to come in. I mean, and the downtown region is really blossoming down there. And the people who are running the docks now are doing a very good job, bringing more and more tourism in. I think it's a well-spent thing to happen down there.
Great, thanks for that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we can walk down there and boats can't get power because it's not working on weekends. So Ed's had to step in and call people, just happen to be walking down there. But do we have a worry, like, is the grant money pumped in? Because Sandy was, what, 10 years ago?
That's a concern with any grant is that the grant agencies have limited lifespan. I did meet with the FEMA representative as recently as March, and he's committed to advancing this. So to give you an idea, he transitioned from working on Hurricane Katrina claims, which I think that was 2000. Yeah, so they're now looking to all these outstanding Sandy projects, get them completed. So under the terms of FEMA, there's not a defined expiration date, but as of last month, the direction from the FEMA rep was, proceed. We've made the progress. The design, is at like 90%. Really, once if we're going to add the compliant docks, we plug that in, we get the bid, and we get this built.
All right, any other questions for John? All right, in that case.
But is there a timeline? Just,
Uh,
I mean, do you know how long?
Yeah, I mean, if this is approved tonight, I think we would start the procurement of the docks and start the procurement of the electrical work. That would probably be the two one, I guess, requires a general contractor. The other is more of like purchasing a commodity. Could it happen this year? Probably. The limiting thing might be staff workload in my department. I do have 2 new employees, in the process of training them, but we have a large number of things we're trying to bid this year, and especially on anything that requires paving. I'm needing to bid it like now to have a chance of paving it before the end of October. A project like this can proceed a little later into the year because it's not a roadway project. It's more, trenching for through green areas that can proceed more into November, December.
So it'll probably be next season that.
Well, best case I would see, knowing my workload, is that maybe it could be bid in the summer for construction in the fall. Some of these things might have long lead times, like, to just say, okay, we want to purchase docks. Okay, well, they have to be fabricated. I anticipate that taking several months alone.
So hopefully next spring, we may have that.
Yeah,
And that's something DPW actually puts together, puts in the water. So we put them in, take them out every year.
Mm-hmm.
So we would just be taking out the old ones,
Yeah.
if it happens this fall, and come springtime, if we have the new ones, installing the new ones.
Okay. Great. Any other questions for John, or is the ghost of Patrick O'Reilly here?
Oh, no question.
There's always we look around, we're like, okay, we're good, and then here it is.
I used to do that in grad school and drive Rachel crazy. Trying not to do it.
All right, then do we have a motion to discuss? Harvey Hill, excellent. Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Is the committee report right, the number?
Oh, hold on.
Yes.
Let me read the committee report. It says request project approval and bonding authorization in the amount of $1,700,000 for costs, design and construction related to electrical system and dock upgrades at TR Gallo Park and the city marina. The amount to be bonded will be reduced by the amount available grant funding, currently estimated at $625,369. Sorry about that.
Was there a reason why you wanted to get crossed out, Mike? And not understand?
But it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't, you don't have to be exact.
Oh, okay.
And crossed out, as long as you're
I was just wondering if you were, because you were pointing to Michael's name, I didn't know if there was a reason for that.
No, I'm trying to get you to sign where he has printed your name in.
Oh, I see.
But
You're being too officious. All right.
I was like.
That's all right. we're all good. We're all
Uh,
98%
All right, so item number 6 on our agenda is regarding temporary economic recovery plan temporary economic recovery plan project manager for ARPA. Let's see, the estimated financial impact of the will be $0. Mayor Noble is here. Tell us what this is about. Welcome, Mayor Noble.
Hi, everybody. Good to see everybody. So I wanted to just go over this. As we talked about during the ARPA implementation, we knew that we were going to need to hire a project manager. And so this is really the next step to be able to create this position. This position would be located in the grants management office. We have proposed a salary of $70,000, which we think is the right middle ground to be able to find someone who has the experience to be able to manage this complicated federal project. They would report to Ruth Ann Devitt Frank, the Director of Grants Management. And again, there's no financial impact as this position would be paid for from the ARPA funds. So that's the quick overview. And again, this person would be responsible for the day-to-day implementation, setting up the procedures and practices to be able to, implement and fund all of the different projects that we talked about in the ARPA plan that we approved last month. And yeah, that's all I have for this.
Any questions for the mayor?
No,
So this is a full-time position, is that right?
Yeah, this would be a full-time, basically temporary position for 4 to 5 years, depending on through the end of 2025, basically.
Great, but that's also why the amount here is lower than 70,000. It's for the rest of this year, but going forward, it would be 70,000 per year from the ARPA funds.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, great. Any questions for the mayor? Did I already ask that?
No questions for me.
no questions. The mayor.
I'm good, I promise.
Right. In that case, the committee report reads, approve the attached 2022 budgetary transfer totaling $49,516 to provide funding for an economic recovery plan project manager, which is expected to be 100% grant funded under the ARPA grant. And so in the end, it would be zero financial impact. Motion to discuss. Mohammed. Seconded by Barbara Hill. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you, Mayor, for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, we move to the next item. This is a personnel change from Parks and Recreation to the clerk's office. The fiscal impact would be $11,569 from contingency. This is not a raise, but the employee was only budgeted to July, but is now staying for the full year. So it requires additional funding to pay for the rest of the year. Do you have anything else to tell us about it, Elissa?
This individual is now at our door when you enter City Hall. So we finally have someone who is there to greet everyone and make sure that visitors sign in. And we are now aware of when we have people in the building and when they leave. So that is comforting for us.
All right, so are there any questions for Elissa?
What happened to I mean, I know who it is and so who, are we gonna have to fill something in Parks and Rec now, or are they just not gonna have that body? Sure,
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Yeah, so the position was only budgeted for a partial year in Parks and Rec. So that person, there's a few moving pieces here. That position was budgeted, I think, through July in Parks and Rec. It's moving over here earlier, but in Parks and Rec was only budgeted for part year. Now it needs to be for the full year. On the flip side, there was a vacant position in Parks and Rec that we budgeted that was going to start when the other position, this position ended in July. That person is now going over earlier from civil service.
okay.
And now, so we're transferring money from a few different sources. In the end, what you have one position that was budgeted for a portion of a year, and you need money to extend it for a full year, but we had some money saved from some of the position swapping, and that's why the actual transfer is a little bit less.
All right,
We're able to recoup some money.
all right, so we're not gonna get a request for 40,000?
No, I've coordinated this with civil service, I've coordinated with Parks and Rec, and, we kind of joined minds to get one budget transfer together to cover all our bases.
Seems confusing, but.
It is, no, we spent a little bit of time on this.
Don't come back asking for more money for this,
Yeah,
not
no,
good.
I think they should be good.
Great. So do we have a motion to discuss? Oh. All right, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Very good. Thank you for that. Next is from the clerk. This is to purchase a new ID card maker machine with the potential fiscal impact of financial impact of $3,365. What is this, Alyssa?
So I actually had budgeted this year to replace the municipal ID machine, because if you recall, when the council passed local law 10 of 2018, we received the ID machine from the police department. They had used it. They took it around and they did the children's IDs and the employee IDs as well. So we received that equipment used, and we budgeted this year to replace it. However, now all the prices have jumped dramatically. So we didn't have enough money in the budget to replace the same exact machine that we thought we had enough for. So I'm asking for, I think it's just over $3,000 from contingency to replace the machine. It's no longer working.
Okay, and what's the total cost likely to be then?
We had budgeted 7,000 initially, and now it's just over 10.
Okay. All right, any questions for Alyssa on this?
Can you just give us like how it's doing? How many people are coming in off the top of your head? Do we still?
We're pretty steady. We do get on a daily basis. It's of course not like it was initially when,
Which we expected, yeah.
right. But it is, we use it daily.
Oh, that's good to hear. We haven't heard anything lately, so it's nice. Do you know about what we're talking about, municipal ID?
What are you saying?
Do you know what the municipal ID is?
Yes, I'm assuming I know what it is. It's
Okay.
like, right, people that need ID of some kind who may not have other, yes, I haven't gotten around
It's a really
to it.
cool thing that.
But I'll be sure to
the
be
clerk's
able to
office
get
does.
mine
Have you
as
seen
per
one?
my
Lorraine?
taxpayer money.
But I know what yours.
And what's really nice is now DMV does recognize it, excuse me, as
Oh.
1 point for a license.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's the same exact machine, like you're aware, like everyone.
Yeah,
Nice.
the only downside of it is it's my picture. All right.
Oh, with the new machine, you can get a new picture. Somebody else's.
It would still be the same me, that's the problem. I don't think it's the machine.
But now you got the mask, so.
True, I just lit up a little higher.
Yeah.
The
All
actual, the problem with the machine is now as little parts are breaking, they no longer make those parts. The machine is pretty old.
Yeah. All right, so any more questions for Alyssa?
Nope.
Okay, then a motion to discuss.
Second,
Second, Walker Hill. Any discussion?
nope.
Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Yeah. All right, thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you.
Our next item is from Parks and Recreation. This is regarding the cost for a requested vehicle that is higher, than estimated cost in the 2021 capital plan. So we need some more money to cover it. Lindsay, hello, Lindsay.
Good evening. How is everyone?
Good, good. How are you? So what's this about?
So back in the 2021 capital plan, we had put forward a 3/4 ton pickup truck. I believe it was at $46,000 that was bonded for. We got the bid results back. The lowest cost came in at a little over $54,000. And so we are trying to get some updated vehicles and some equipment, and we will need to request $9,000 from contingency to be able to cover the additional funds needed.
All right, so the crucial thing here too is that this is from the 2021 capital plan, not the most recent one, right? So this goes back a ways. And so what was the reason why it wasn't purchased prior to now?
I believe that the specs, there was a lot of back and forth about the different specs that were needed, and ultimately, by the time we got the information, it was close to the end of the year and had to wait until after the holidays.
All right, thanks for that. Any questions for Lindsay on this issue?
I have a question for John. Is there a reason why this wasn't bundled with the others?
Because they're two separate bond ordinances, so I didn't want to amend one bond for $9,000. It's just, so it's a pretty relatively small amount to amend a bond, so I prefer that amount came from contingency. The next request you'll see is all part of one document, one bond. Yes.
Great, so if there are no other questions for Lindsay, the committee report reads from Parks and Recreation, contingency transfer of $9,000 to Parks Motor Vehicles to offset increased cost of 3/4 ton. Because 3/4 of a pickup truck doesn't sound like any pickup truck at all. All right.
It's a new style, you haven't learned about those?
It's 3/4 this way, okay, no cabs, convertible. Increased, make convertible pickup truck, do they? Okay, all right. To offset increased cost of 3/4 ton pickup truck previously authorized for $46,000 under the 2021 capital plan, estimated financial impact $9,000. Do we have a motion to discuss? Naima Mohammed. Seconded by Barbara Hill. Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No one is opposed. Great, thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you all, appreciate it.
All right, let us know how it drives.
Will do.
Let's see, John Toohey, are you here?
I think I might be.
All right, this is about increases for various items on the 2022 capital plan.
Yeah, so this one, I think the communication pretty much speaks for itself. You take on this committee report. We passed the bond back for the 2022 capital plan. We passed it back in December. Since that time, we've seen more inflation. Some of the departments were looking to procure their items on the list. They were going out to bid or getting updated quotes. We became aware that the amounts that we had bonded for some of these pieces of equipment and vehicles may not be sufficient. So once I heard that from a couple of departments, I made queries with the remaining departments that had items on the 2022 capital plan to get a sense of how much money we were talking about, so we can make a determination of where we pull the additional money from, whether we need to amend the bond or whether we go to contingency. So each department got back to me, and in the end, we needed a fairly substantial amount of money, $141,000 for all the pieces of equipment. We were able to take off the sewer camera equipment, which is being funded by the ARPA grant. So to accommodate now for the inflation that we've experienced since the original bond was approved, we need an additional $81,000 to provide funding for the departments to acquire these items. I will say that we did, in these updated quotes, I did ask each department to try to build in some, just a little bit of cushion, because we could even have some price increases from the time they got their most recent quotes to the time that the bond's approved and they actually get their bids out. So that is built in, and if it's any comfort to you, we generally do bond on a reimbursement basis. So what we eventually borrow is generally what we actually spend on the vehicle. So even though if you approve X and we spend Y, and that Y is less, we'll borrow for Y, generally speaking. So, but once again, I tried to get it all together so you had one request for myself rather than getting, slammed with bonding requests, updated bonding requests, or contingent requests from each department. So, all right.
Any questions for John?
Well, are these gonna be, or, I mean, I see most of it, not most of it, but a bulk of this DPW, are these gonna be ordered, and are they there to order?
Well, we have to, once we get this approval, then we have to go out for bid again. So I have stuff that I ordered in 2021 for the 2021 capital plan. I haven't even got it yet. So, we could be looking at next year or into the following year if I order it right now.
But you would lock your prices.
We would lock, at that point, the price would be locked in.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of getting the actual latest quotes. I have a pretty good feel for this, that what we have right now should be very close that we can lock in on. Because once this is approved at the next meeting, we will go immediately out to bid for the remaining equipment.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. In that case, motion to discuss.
Motion. Second.
Motion Morgan Hill, second by Mohammed. Any discussion?
No.
In that case, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Didn't I? Okay. Amend the bond ordinance dated 12/7/2021 to provide an additional $81,000 in funding for the city's 2022 capital plan. The bond ordinance will be increased from $1,540,500 to $1,621,500. All right. Vote, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Very good.
Good luck getting them.
So the last item of business here is about setting a fee for commercial property fire inspections for certain properties up to a certain size. And I'm guessing, Steve, that's why you're here?
Well, actually, I'm here because John asked us to be here for the vehicle increase, but I did see that on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
So certainly weigh in.
Can you speak to the need for this particular fee? Are you ready to do that, or should we put this off to next month and have fire department come?
Well, it's not fire department fees, it's fire inspection fees. So it's basically commercial property fire inspections.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just wanted to kind of make a couple of comments. And one is that the fees were derived basically from looking at some other towns' fees and also looking at the fees that we are in charge for our commercial or for our multiple dwelling rental properties in the city, so some of the larger housing complexes. And it's comparable to what we're charging them. So my feeling is that, they're both businesses, and I don't know how we kind of determine that one business is going to pay, more or less than the others. And the other comment that I wanted to make was that if we do reduce, the reason that we have the fees where they are is that the state allows the city obviously to charge to defray the cost of what the expenses for the building department is. And these fees were put in so that we could hire the fire inspector, and part of the fee, part of the salary for the clerk in our office. If we do reduce them, then we're going to definitely see a reduction in the revenue, which would mean that additional funds will need to come from the general budget and not, be made up in the revenue in our projected budget.
So have we heard actual complaints from people about the rates that we currently charge?
I guess there, well, I don't know. I can't really.
I'm thinking the one that kicked this off because I got a call from, I guess it's am I allowed to say, not a person, but a church or a similar to a church establishment in my ward, saying he thought the fee was very high. And maybe some of that is perhaps inspections hadn't been done on a regular basis, and now they were, and now it's sort of, now we have a fire inspector, a fire, what do you call it, inspection person, and an assistant, so it's kind of new, maybe out of sync, maybe seems high for a church because of the square, it's based on square footage. And then this individual also said that he had heard that there were complaints from other large, maybe nonprofits who are struggling right now to meet all the other rising costs. So it was like, I don't know if it was the YMCA or some other, I'm trying to remember what it was. So I don't know how many other complaints came in. I did speak to Tom Tryon.
Yes.
Really nice guy. Anyhow, you're a nice guy too. We had a talk. Nice to meet you in person. So I think it's really, from both of you, it was like, there's no way to make an assessment yet as to, so the fees seem reasonably set. And there would be no way to know whether they could be reduced because don't know how many, if it's, I don't know, would balance out given how much is spent for a staff person plus an assistant. So it's kind of, there's no way to make that assessment right now. I think what I was gonna say is Tom was saying that, I don't have the percentage here, but I love when people use the percentage, like 80% of people seem to be okay with the fee. Or understand the situation when it's minimally explained to them or nicely explained to them the situation. So that's what I've learned. And, but I just thought I would bring it forward. And I thought it was interesting. It was like 800 inspections are needed each year. Do they come due every year or every few years? Do they get inspected?
Well, it depends on the type of occupancy, assembly space, properties with assembly spaces need to be done yearly, and the rest of the properties need to be done every 2 years.
See, it's $200, is that correct?
The fee? The fee is determined based on the square footage.
Oh.
Right, so, obviously, if you have something like the Y, it's gonna take a lot longer to do that inspection.
Yeah, we're a church, right? And then
We did put reduced, I mean, we limited the maximum amount that a church and a nonprofit can be charged, so that the max that the Y would be charged is $500 for their inspection.
Okay.
So are the rates here listed here, are these the current rates? In the letter from you, Barbara, are these the current rates or is this a?
I don't have that with me, that I'm usually a nerd printing this stuff out.
Right here.
Okay, so I think there was, yeah, that's the current rate. I think that there was a discrepancy in one place it said 3 cents per whatever, and the correct was 2 cents, right?
That's correct. It was 3 when I initially requested the fee schedule.
Right.
We adopted, and then after looking at more towns, and we felt better at 2 cents a square foot. So
Okay.
we
There's quite a
accepted
difference.
to modify that.
There's quite a difference between just regular commercial properties, which is 50, maximum fee is $1,500, and nonprofit churches is $500. So that's already quite a difference.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I think
It makes
it's
sense though.
yeah. No, I think it's a good thing. I'm just that's a big
That's why we
difference.
call them nonprofits.
Yeah.
Some churches, we have money.
So what I hear from
Not
you
my
is
church,
that
but
you would like
yes.
to see these fees, you would like to see these fees stay as they are.
I like to see them stay as they are right now. I mean, we certainly will have more information when we have a full year of inspection. If not, we can certainly discuss it and revisit it after this year and stuff, but for now, I'd like to see.
So can you give us a report at the end of the year about how this is balanced out? Does that satisfy you?
Yeah, I think that, yeah,
Okay,
I mean, we certainly expected that there'd be some pushback and stuff initially, just because the inspections weren't being done, in the way that they're supposed to be done, and the charges they weren't even charging for the inspections that were done, so, we knew that we're gonna get some pushback from some, property owners.
Have you gotten many calls?
We haven't gotten any, well, we got the one call from the one gentleman that you're speaking about, other than that, we haven't gotten any.
I'd be curious at the end of the year too, there's a lot more.
I mean, if I may just add in too, I mean, in terms of an update, so when we sit down and start working on the budget for next year, July, August, as part of that conversation, normally, the building department, other departments would submit their proposed fee schedule to the mayor, and then that would be incorporated in the budget, and the council would adopt the 2023 fee schedule, so we'll be forced to look at this in, later in the year regardless. And then by that point, Steve will probably be able to assimilate some data into your request for 2023, so we'll be looking at it again one way or another.
I guess why I put it forward somewhat is because I thought I had heard there were other complaints, but perhaps maybe not so many.
Maybe a
then-
suggestion too is have them call building safety, so building safety can keep track of that if there are.
Yeah, no, it's from this one individual.
Right, no, I know they reached out
Yeah, I
to
know
you,
that.
but if you want it, when you
So,
follow up.
and then just having brought it up with Alderman Hirsch at one point about the fee, and it's just down the road, I guess, for the accessory dwelling units, there might be an issue with fire inspection of those types of units, but that would be down the road. So, but I think it's, Tom seemed like the right hire for the job. He seems to have the right customer service attitude about it, and it being like this kind of reinstated, very well needed service.
He has a very diplomatic approach.
Yeah.
He's working out well.
Okay, great.
all right, so we will take no action on that. Great, if that's agreed, yes? Okay.
Yes, all good.
Yeah.
That's a great question. This is John was here. This is a community board email. You do have it, right? This is the industry, yes, I'm sure. I know we spoke about it, I'm sure you have a great one.
Good to see you.
You do, right?
Yeah. All right, anything else anybody wants to add?
Yeah, I think I picked the wrong finance committee, because you guys are fast. Budget season with these three, right?
Well, that tells me something about the folks who are not here tonight. All right, then, we will consider this meeting at a close. Thank you everyone for being present. We're now adjourned at 7:51. Have a great rest of the evening with the 17 seconds of daylight left.